pre-image, and the figure, once an image is drawn, is now referred to as a pre-image. I mean, I don't really know if the students really understand the depth of that. And I think that this text does a poor job of explaining that. One thing that this text does that I do think is nice is it's laid out in a decent order, I think. And I like the colors, and I like that there are several examples of reflections. I just, I have a really hard time with this for your notebook idea. So I actually did teach this lesson when I student taught, and I didn't like the book, and so I supplemented this text with a couple other texts, which I'm going to start now. This, which will be attached to my final, is the do now that I gave to my students. And basically this do now, the idea of it was for them to think about line of symmetry and reflection, and I wanted to give them the word reflection, the word symmetry, and these pictures, and see what they would do with it. So without, it's kind of like assessing their prior knowledge in a way by throwing in some lines of symmetry here, and to see if they really know, if they really understand the concept of symmetry before we apply it to a coordinate plane, before we apply it mathematically. I wanted to see if in real life they could really assess is the wrong word, if they could really demonstrate their knowledge of what symmetry is. So for example, in this first picture here, there's a girl looking in the window. Obviously the line of symmetry would be, right here, which is, the idea is there that the students will see that the line of symmetry or the line of reflection is the actual window itself. Same thing here, it's along the water. I can't really do this backwards, upside down, but the water is reflecting the pre-image of the hut onto the image in the ocean. Same idea with the mountain, line straight across here. And then we get down to the butterfly. I'll get to this image of, there's a bunch of cats in the mirror. It's like a circular, triangular mirror here. And that has tons of lines of symmetry, tons of lines of rotation, or not rotation, reflection, excuse me. And, but one thing that was interesting about this do now was the concept of the butterfly. So I like this text a lot because I think that it gives the students a lot of different opportunities and a lot of variety in discovering what a reflection really is about and what a reflection really means, especially in real life concepts. This image of the butterfly, this figure of the butterfly, it brings up a really important point, in my opinion, as the teacher. Is this butterfly symmetrical? Is this true symmetry? Is this mathematical symmetry? Is this symmetry in real life? Does this count? So one thing that I had the students do was have, a talk in the class during the do now. It was more of a think, pair, share. Is this really symmetrical? So I had them draw all their lines of symmetry, and then I said to the students, think about the butterfly. I'm sure all of you drew a line through the center of the butterfly, and 99% of the students did. And I said, think about that. Is that symmetrical? And one student raised his hand after I had them do the discussion, and he said, it depends what you mean by symmetrical. And this answer sort of generated a really interesting discussion about what it means to be symmetrical, what a reflection truly is, what is considered to be a true reflection versus symmetry. Is symmetry really the same thing as reflection? Does the context around these two words matter? So, and just for your clarification and for mine as the teacher, I made it very clear to the students, if you look at a human being, yes, I have an eye on both sides of my face. Both sides of my face. I have two cheeks. I have, a line of symmetry down my face. Is my face perfectly symmetrical? Perfectly symmetrical? No. So when we use the word symmetrical, there are different degrees of symmetrical. There are different degrees of symmetry. I have two arms. I have a freckle on this arm that isn't on this arm. What does that mean? Does that mean I'm not symmetrical? Does that mean I am symmetrical? In mathematics, would that be okay? Would it be okay to say that I am symmetrical? In mathematics, would it be okay to say that that butterfly is symmetrical? So this text, I think, was extremely rich in generating discussion. If we get over here to the cats, I don't want to get into this very much longer because I think I've spent enough time on this, but there are several lines of reflection. So what we did was we talked about one cat, this lower one here, and we talked about all the lines of reflection that involve this one particular cat as the pre-image. And the students found that there were several lines of reflection there. And we also talked about it in terms of like actually viewing the picture. If you just view the picture and you don't imagine the scenario, is this pre-image the same as this image? No. I mean, you can see the back of this cat, you can see the front of this cat, so no, they're not. That wouldn't be a line of symmetry in between them. It wouldn't be a line of reflection in between them. But if you think about it in the context of the action, of course, it is reflection. Okay, so that's my second text. And then my third text was an activity that I had the students do using mirrors. And I don't actually have a mirror on me, but I have a geoboard which kind of looks like a mirror. So I'll print out a picture and put it I'll attach it to my actual paper. But a mirror is basically a red piece of plastic that sort of looks like this. There aren't dots or circles on it or a grid, but you basically, you take a piece of paper or whatever and you plop the mirror on the paper, and then you can kind of see through the mirror and draw through the mirror and get an identical reflection on the other side. It's really cool, and the students seem to really enjoy it. But basically, I would just want to kind of analyze the visual layout of this text. So there are 4 sections. I had it as a front and a back, but I have it as this is the front, and then this would be the back. And I had the students